got the relief. No, that's the fan.
It's okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. It's our Tuesday live stream, and we're still live streaming. Nothing looks clear yet at all. So best to keep up the live stream. So it's nice to see people joining, gathering together. We'll begin the evening with a short period of sitting meditation and just settle a bit. So begin with our posture, sitting, whether one's sitting in a chair, sitting on the floor, lying down, on whatever. Pay attention to your posture. Have that awareness and mindfulness of the body. Bring attention into the body, and the Buddha is quite adamant and repetitive of how important mindfulness of the body is. One who is mindful of the body sees the deathless. One who's not mindful of the body does not see the deathless. It's pretty categorical. So just to bring the attention back into the body, but also attending to the fundamental kind of feeling, mood of the mind, the kind of perception of the mind. Say one wants to lift the mind up to that which is wholesome, skillful, brightening, and there's just any number of ways to do that. Just as a things happen in just our daily life, or a memory is stimulated that's very wholesome and skillful, and just to bring attention to that. So often there's this assumption that we've got to stop thinking and just stop the mind from moving, stop the mind from doing anything, and it's really uncomfortable. Of course, we want to step back from our scattered and obsessed minds, but to help direct the mind to things that are skillful, that are beautiful, that warm the heart. I'll just say, simple example for myself. The last couple days, like night before last, I just had a dream of Ajahn Chah, and that just it's a wonderful memory, and great perception to bring into the mind, and no, and it's not because it's more around perception and feeling. What kind of feeling, mood does one want to establish? Because if you overthink it or try to be really logical and rational, you say, I have a dream of Ajahn Chah. I wake up, well, he's been dead for how many years? What's the point? And well, that's not the point. The point is the feelings that are elicited, and we all have a whole variety of perceptions, memories, associations, and what do we draw attention to? The habit of the human mind, and of course it's very well documented, a negativity bias. The mind gets drawn more quickly and to the negative. It gives it more importance. You can have 10 positive things and one negative thing, and what sticks in the mind is the negative one. And we have to be alert to that, and just being just creating a certain conscious effort at drawing attention to things which do brighten the mind. So when we sit, and it's not just thinking or wishful thinking or Pollyannish thinking, it's really skillful, because our thoughts, what we direct our attention to, has a result, and we want to support the result of well-being and ease, because that is just very naturally a far better support for mindfulness, for clarity, and for a steadiness, a stability of mind. The mind that is more inclined to well-being and ease is much more steady, and it has that effect. So just consciously directing attention, lifting the mind up to that which is skillful, but staying in the body. What's the effect? The body is having a it's like your background or your backdrop of the meditation. It's sort of an overall sense of the posture, or a feeling of the rhythm of the breath, or a attentiveness to a particular sensation of the breath at a particular point. It's whatever is comfortable, because that is the building block. And so that putting attention onto the building blocks of the mind that generate this sense of clarity and a sense of ease and stillness. So we can take this opportunity to sit quietly for a bit. Again, welcome to everyone, and I'll continue with some reflections, and then we'll have some occasion for some questions. I think one of the things that has also been coming up in my mind these last few days, actually several days, is the reflecting on the four elements, and this is a very important contemplation as a way of getting perspective on our experience. Certainly something that the Buddha himself taught and encouraged, and it is this is when we say the four elements. They're the four primary elements of earth, water, fire, and air. But it's not like earth in terms of dirt or the ground or anything. It's more, these are properties, and contemplating the properties that make up and particularly these four primary elements, they make up our bodies, and they make up the world around us, and they're particular properties of the material realm, and to be reflecting on these primary elements. So it's like the element of earth is like the element of that which is solid, takes up space. There's a tangible aspect to it. I think also one of the things to right from the get-go, to think in terms of these when one is contemplating the elements. It's not that they are they stand alone. There's always a certain mixture, or they manifest in different ways, in the sense of, something might be somewhat solid, but it's kind of light, and styrofoam's a good example. Say it's solid, it takes up space, but it's got a lot of air in it, and that that's the way. There's all these elements have different mixtures and manifest in different ways, and one isn't trying to to kind of come to some absolute essence of element. It's more of it's a broad brush, but it's especially in contemplating um, our own bodies and bodies of others, world around us. It one reflects on the how these properties appear to us, and how do we experience them? How do we feel them? And that is what that does is helps us to step back from the personalizing of things, and certainly the body is any way that we can um, ameliorate that personalizing and identification with something being me. Seeing, oh, it's just these elements, and they're manifesting in a particular way, so that the contemplation of the earth element, and when they like in the classic contemplation on the 32 parts of the body, then it's like hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. Those are all considered to be earth element. The internal organs, I mean, bones, these are all sort of earth element. And it just is it's kind of a broad brush way of looking at the experience of a body, and not getting too caught up in either the characteristics or the identification we have with it. It's just these elements, a part of nature. And I think that's the important aspect, is that recognizing that we are part of this natural world, natural elements. That is there's a liberating quality to that, where we're not constantly referring back to me and my dramas, me and my difficulties, me and my successes. Me, just it's just, oh, there's these elements manifesting in different ways. And so as a meditation, it's one can be attentive to the experience of the elements, in the sense of just with the earth element of, you say, it's that which is solid, takes up space, and our body definitely feels that. It's solid. It has a weight to it. When we sit, there is the experience of a pressure, because of the weight, and just the weight of gravity, and because we're solid, part of nature. So we're, and that so there is the sense of heavy and light, in the sense, and lightness is just another say say the opposite coin of the side of the coin of say like of heaviness. It's just the manifestation of the earth element in a slightly different way, or where it's say rough or smooth. It's still the earth element there. It's like something that is like a piece of wood. I remember when they making the shrine for our Buddha image at Abhayagiri. It's this slab of madrone wood, which is quite a dense wood, and it's like about yay thick, and yeah, definitely earth element. It's heavy. It's takes up space. It's holding the Buddha image, which is stone, which is another earth element, and but it's also because of the nature of the wood, then they sanded it with progressively finer and finer sandy paper until it was just incredibly smooth, just like this really solid piece of something, but it was really smooth. And it's just, again, it's just a manifestation of earth element. And, and we can feel that just on our skin. Sometimes our skin feels, very, it is earth element. And sometimes it can feel different areas of the body can feel kind of rough. You're just feeling, say, like if you with your hands and you feel around your knuckles. It's kind of rough, and so maybe your elbows could be a bit rough. But then, they say sometimes, say like the inside of the arm and the outside of the arm, there's a different texture. The inside is very smooth and the outside is a bit rougher. This is, again, it's just manifestation of the earth element. And it can be heavy or light, rough or smooth. That sense of just how it manifests. So that we, but it's just earth element, and that takes away the getting to, because it's kind of natural for the mind. We try to judge, like somehow, or maybe like, oh, smooth is better than rough. Well, it's not a sure thing. Depends what you want to use it for, or what you need it for, or what is helpful at it at a particular time. That sense of of heavy and light. It's just earth element. It's a manifestation of the elements. That's the sense of just taking up, inhabiting space, and so that looking at things as an aspect of nature, and it comes into being out of nature, and it return to nature. The aspect of say, like, of the water element is say one of the aspects of the water element. Of course, it's fluid. It flows. It has a cohesive quality. It binds things together. Like if you want to take some medicine, you kind of chew it up and you drink it with some water, because it helps for it to flow into and to bind it together. Sometimes gagging on a pill, trying to get it down, it's just, it needs some water element for it to go down. These are just the nature of the element itself. Or if we reflect on we're just, as we're sitting here, you can feel this saliva in the mouth, and it's it keeps the, especially if you're talking or if you're sitting, even, it's just, without that fluid, the mouth gets dry, the throat gets dry, it feels a bit uncomfortable, and so that there's a kind of a soothing quality that comes from that. It's there's a kind of a cohesive feeling that arises. That's quite necessary. So it's that sense of flowing, of say water in the say right now we're starting to say, like, we're going, of course we go in arms around, and up until a while ago, then there was no rain, there was no water element coming from the sky, and the trails and the road, they're very dusty. And you walk along, you come back from alms round, and you really have to scrub your feet, because they're dirty, and the dust is sort of caking on. It gets in the little cracks of the feet, and helps dries your feet out, and splits the skin. So that having some rain coming, the dust is settled, and there's the feeling the skin is a bit more cohesive. It's a relief, besides the cooling effect of it. So that nature is like this. Our body is an aspect of nature, and just learning how to view the body in its natural cycles and its natural elements, rather than it being a statement about me, and taking it very personally. And then also recognizing that you can actually take care of the body as well. Like that, it's just similar, having those it's not raining, cracks in the feet, cracks in the hands, moisturizing cream. I mean, it's just you're using that element of the water element, and water doesn't have to be H2O. I mean, it's more that it is the element of cohesiveness, the element of that which flows. That's that's recognizing these elements need to be balanced as well. And fire element, that's been a feature now these last mornings here at the Hermitage, lighting the fire in the morning. It feels really good to light that fire in the morning and take the cool of that early morning when we come together for our early morning puja and sitting meditation. Yeah, it's nice to be a bit warm, rather than too cold. It's just is, and of course, if it's too hot, that makes you sleepy, which is you're trying to get that balance. But certainly that's that sense. As the fall is coming, then it's just lighting the fire and just getting a sense of that fire element. You need to slowly build the fire up so that it gains some momentum. You can't sort of just strike a match or put the have a lighter, turn the lighter on, get a little flame going, and then pile a bunch of wood on top of that. It's not gonna work. It's bit by bit. It needs to slowly gain momentum. So that fire element and the fire element is just the element of heat, and say like coolness is just a decreasing of the fire element, or a lack of the fire element. So that just being attentive to that. The air element. The air element is just the element of, say, expansion, contraction. And then, of course, there is the air that we breathe in and breathe out. That is, say, part of the air element. There's also how it manifests itself in terms of that, expansion, contraction, a kind of supporting, kind of sort of buoyancy. It's sort of the part of the air element. I mean, I get to rely on the air element every day for meditation because my zafu is one that is it's a blow up zafu. So it has that supporting quality, and some of the it supports for a while, but then it needs to have this balance of how the say the earth element, kind of whatever they form it in, you put the air in. But if there's a kind of a break or a tear in that earth element of the kind of bladder that it is, then all the air goes out. And so there's how do these things work together? How do they fit together? So these elements are again the sense of nature, their natural forces, their natural aspects of the world around us, but in particular, they are the way this body, this form that we call us, is this collection and conglomeration of these elements working together, fitting together in different ways. But it also has there is, if you extend it out, because these are just how do you say it? That they are properties, and they're physical properties, and they're but they're properties that manifest themselves in nature. But when one can start to with reflection and consideration, one can start recognizing that even say like our mental components, our moods, our perceptions are affected by, they have a certain elemental quality also. Sometimes, we feel that we're being blown around by circumstances, or there's a feeling of kind of a whirlwind of emotion. Those are this air element, or a manifestation. I mean, it's not. It's presenting itself in a particular way, and we can turn our attention to elements. That's why it's really helpful to mindfulness of the body. It's something solid, it's something tangible, and it can be very settling. It can also end up being heavy and turgid. If one needs to balance, and one needs to experiment. And if the mood of the mind is very sluggish and very, kind of dull, then it needs some. We need a bit of fire going. It's just light a bit of fire under that mood, because fire is also associated with light, as well as energy. I mean, there's an energy with fire, so it's like so that what are ways that one can elicit a sense of sort of an energetic quality, and or just say just like drawing close to like the warmth of loving kindness. I mean, it's something that is very attractive, very settling. That warmth of compassion, of kindness. But say the heat of aversion or anger or ill will is not attractive. It's very unsettling. So the sense of balance and attending to an elemental quality, and even in the the like with uh, uh, not just sort of personalizing or not just stepping back from the personalizing of the body, it's also stepping back from the personalizing of the moods of the mind, that movement of mind, recognizing that it is elemental also, and to attend to ways that one can be balancing and settling and soothing and brightening the mind and either energizing the mind or calming the mind. And it's an ongoing kind of adjustments that we need to be making, and with attentiveness, alertness. But again, recognizing we can be doing this without, it's not a statement about me, it's just sort of as an identity. It's just in nature there is this, elicits different feelings when there's the elements are in balance. So anyway, those are some reflections that have been coming up for me, and just sharing that for consideration, and I can open it up for questions if anybody has any questions. Shelley's got a note there. Just came back from Gaddis Park with Easy. They cut away the fallen trees, so you walk down and visit the spring source. I thought the source of the spring was up Spring Street, or is that sort of like the where that comes into the
I think
like as a water course?
My thought was, the spring source is higher up, but it collects. There's a spring collection box.
Oh,
down
really?
at the bottom.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Question there.
Ajahn, can you share some reflections on how heading into the darker and colder time of the year impacts our mood? Well, for different people, it will impact in different ways. I'm delighting in it being cooler, that's and I'm personally, I don't get very affected by the darker times. I know it affects people, different people in many different ways. But of course, I grew up in the further north, so anywhere in the United States is like in the deep south for me. So it's a bit different. But yeah, it's just kind of conditioning, and and also individually people will they be affect people in different ways, and I think it's important to again, to recognize it as how the elements impact one, so that it is a one can then attend to, well, what are ways to balance that without it being again a statement about personal quality or a personal either flaw or failing or personal burden that one has to take. So it's more like a sense of being able to recognize, well, that it affects me. It affects me in a particular way, and there are ways that are appropriate to be trying to balance it in some way, shape, or form, and for different people, it'll be different ways. I mean, I know certainly for some of us, and kind of like the winter is a kind of a peaceful time, which is it's not necessarily a universal experience, but just the almost like nature going into abeyance, and all the trees losing their leaves, and the light sort of fading, and I find it quite soothing, which for many people was sort of like, oh, good grief, what's wrong with this? So it can be, for many people, it could be rather unsettling. So it's important to sort of recognize, well, what is the way that it affects, and what are the ways that we can be practicing with it, and allowing those elements to be say recognized and then attended to, because sometimes there's so many shoulds that we tend to layer over our experience, and that's it's quite a just being able to step back from that. And so there's aspects of nature that one can be paying attention to. Please.
Just to add a little bit of a comment to that, just because I noticed too, with the longer nights and darker light, darker periods, the cooling, that sometimes there's this sense of fatigue or tiredness or dullness, but then if it's an opportunity to change that perception, or to look at that different angle. And oftentimes I have success with that by just allowing the sense of softening to occur, because there's a certain softening element or experience that comes along with that. And rather than thinking of it as, or rather than viewing it or experiencing it as, dullness and heaviness, kind of switching that perceptual reality just a little bit to softness and slowing down, and that's part of the natural condition, as you were saying, just to notice that and reframe it in a sense as
yes,
soft and gentle and slowing down, turning in.
Yeah, because we can always turn things to our advantage, and say, as opposed to sort of, oh my God, things are slowing down, but it's more, and I'm really getting weighed down by this, but it's more, oh no, this is just shifting perspective. The feeling can be the same, but then we just shift our perspective slightly and say, oh, that can be a benefit, that can be utilized in a particular way. Okay, so here's a what are examples of ways in which we can balance unsettling feelings and emotion like fear or anger? I thought it was skillful to just be aware of the emotions in our body. That it's really helpful, I find anyway, that we do have a touchstone for the like unsettling emotions. Fear, anger are unsettling emotions, and to have a say the body as an anchor in terms of can we relax into this? Can we soothe this in some way? Can we settle this in some way? Can we be present with it? And because there tends to be, we tend to tighten up, or we tend to get agitated, and the our moods, our mental states don't really have a boundary. So that when there's when there isn't a boundary, then they can just keep expanding and moving. But if we bring it back to the body, then it's tangible, it's somewhat limited. So then we can be a bit more alert and present to what is the texture of a particular mood, and then what can we be bringing to that, to be able to relax, to create some space around it, to soothe it in some way. And so those are there's an elemental quality, but it's also a very experiential aspect of using the body to be both to be aware as well as to modulate the emotions that we do have and the moods that we do have. Any additions?
Says it well.
Okay. From Shelley, I tried brightening my mind in meditation. I thought of Percy the cat, and then my friends redistributing testimony. Is that the sort you meant before me? Yes, yeah, absolutely. These are, because these are like we have a thought in the mind, and our thoughts are always associated with some particular feeling or emotion, and perception there, and to recognize, it's just is more fruitful to give some space to the thoughts or memories or associations that have a positive quality, have a and it is tangible. Yeah, Percy the cat's a tangible event in one's life, and or the say friends that are doing something really skillful, really, and you think you can really delight in that. It's something really, really good to see. So then it's those are brightening qualities to the mind. And then as that, and so one uses, and it's similar to the image of the, lighting a fire. You use the different thoughts and to kindle a momentum of well-being or momentum of clarity. Okay, yeah, to sort of reaffirm, is it correct to say that we can understand and perhaps improve our moods, feelings by understanding the four elements and the way they manifest? I would say so. That's why I was sort of using it as a tool to recognize that yes, there's these four primary elements, but there is a certain mental, emotional quality that is makes itself present, and we use it in in common parlance all the time. When you see somebody who is going through something really difficult, and you say, "Oh, that's really heavy," or somebody is oh, they're really just feeling really lighthearted today, and so it's
burning with anger,
or burning with
swimming
anger.
in joy,
Yeah,
bubbling
so,
with joy.
yeah. So these are quite say they're used in the ordinary, as I say, ordinary parlance of the idioms in the language. So then it has a by attending to it and reflecting on it, and you realize that there's ways that you can turn attention that are really um, um, one can be improving or helping oneself just in something very, very fundamental in experience. Dear Ajahn, does being in touch with elements of water, air, fire, earth externally via heat, shower, soil, help with depression? Well, I think one of the things that by making experience a bit more tangible, and in in relationship with nature around one, I think it would. Again, I don't know. I'm not a qualified clinician, but I would think it would have a a positive effect with depression. Because one of the things with depression is things start to blur and tend to become amorphous and heavy, so that being able to bring things back to like a natural and an elemental level would help one to move through the getting a handle, getting grip. I think that's would be very helpful.
Yeah, and using, the calming and enjoyment of nature, like taking a walk. How many times when we take a walk in the woods,
Yeah.
or like when I'm doing the loop trail out here or whatever, how many times do I actually stop and take it in,
Right.
and using that feeling from nature,
Mm.
and you can just stop and feel the solidity of your body, the stand, look around, and kind of just pause for a moment and expand to the view around you, and kind of absorb some of those very soothing. Nature is so soothing, and kind of lifts you out of your own kind of constricted world if you just stop and look. Every 10 minutes on a walk, just kind of pause and open up.
Yeah, well, there's got to get to where we're going.
Which is, the loop trail takes me 45 minutes.
It's 45 goes okay. That's exactly what, because that's practice is really okay. Just not following those familiar ruts, and then giving ourselves the tools to sort of step out of those ruts. Okay, this looks like there's one last question. Is space considered an element? Space is considered an element. I mean, there are consciousness is considered an element. So when the Buddha talks of the four primary elements, those are sort of those materials, as I said, earth, water, fire, and air. But then there are discourses and suttas where the Buddha talks of the space element, and sometimes that's all he mentions, and then sometimes it's space element, and then also consciousness element. So that's an interesting expansion on the aspect of the elemental properties of being, both for our inner world and our outer world. And the Dhatu Vibhanga Sutta is a sutta that addresses the six elements, and it is a exceptionally good sutta. Majjhima Nikaya, I can't remember what the number is, 120 something or other, I think. That's off the top of my head with no clear recollection.
Yeah, and I find, particularly when I'm using the elements as a contemplation, that the space element is really a very useful one to kind of observe and experience the space element, the spacious parts of the body, where there's that kind of room to expand and just soothe and relax and open. Really paying attention to that helps to kind of quiet the mind.
Okay, I think we've managed to go through the various questions. Always good to see people gathering and joining in these events. So wish you all well, and Friday morning's the next time.